is Zahra Ammar, and today we're going to be talking all about how to cut strips, how to do them most efficiently, and with things that you most probably already have at home. Before I begin, you need to understand that when you're using cutters or any sort of sharp objects, you need to be super careful about your hands and your attention needs to be where you're cutting. So if you're watching a movie or if you're doing work simultaneously or talking, I'd rather recommend that you'd wait for some time alone to be doing this. Trust me, I mean, I've been to the ER once and it was because I wasn't paying attention. The first thing that we're going to talk about is paper. I pick up all sorts of paper. Whatever attracts me, I tend to go pick it up. And regardless of weight, I do have a preferred weight. I like a light cardstock, but I would usually end up experimenting with different weights. Now, the first thing that you need to actually look for when you're selecting your paper is that it needs to be completely dyed through, meaning if it has something written down below over here like a white core, that means that when you're going to slice your paper up, the edges are going to be white. They're not going to be dyed through. So don't try to pick this paper up unless you want that specific effect. How do you know if it's dyed through? It will usually say, like for example, I picked up this beautiful paper and it says core dyed, means if I cut this up, it's going to be this exact same color inside. So it's completely dyed through. Sometimes I do realize that, companies don't write if it's dyed or not dyed or if the core is white. So what do? Like, for example, I picked up this really beautiful piece of paper pad. Amazing colors. I mean, these are all neutrals, but I just love them. I wanted to use them for my background, so that was fine. But if I turn this, you can see that the edges of this paper is white. That means its core is white. I started cutting my own strips. I use the same method that I still use today, but I have since then improvised a lot. Steel ruler is very necessary because if you're using a plastic ruler, eventually your cutter is going to cut off its edges and you're going to be left with wavy lines, which you don't want to have because you won't be able to stick them. They won't look neat. You want perfect sharp edges. Now, why I came to the cutter back again was a very interesting story. I looked into paper shredders, pasta cutters, and guillotines and paper trimmers. In fact, I do use this Fisker's paper trimmer sometimes. I used to use it very often, but I don't do it a lot anymore, and I'll just tell you why. So I came back to this method again, and it has proven faster for me now, and I'll share my hints and tricks with you how to do that. So initially, okay, so my tripod has broken and this is like a DIY solution, so please bear with me. Yeah, initially what I did was I used to mark my paper up here, down here, and keep going on doing those things. It used to take tremendous amount of time, but eventually I moved on to a quicker method. The quicker method was I would simply line up my paper along my cutting mat, and I'll interject right now and say that if you are doing any sort of artwork, I mean, it's not just quilling, if you're doing anything that requires cutting, you need to invest in a good cutting mat. It is this cutting mat I've had since the past, I think, 8 years, and I've used it extensively. I mean, like literally, I've eaten it up alive, and it's still here surviving with me. So I know I need to replace it. I can see a few cuts here and there, but what I'm doing right now is, these days, I'm just turning this around, and now I am doing exactly what I did to the other side. But here there are no guides, there are no rulers, so this is very necessary for a cutting mat, that you need to have a very good guide along with it. It doesn't have to be fancy, it just has to be perfect. All right, so line up your paper here, and right now I'm just doing a 1/2 inch. I could line up a 1/4 inch. There are measurements all over here and even down below the area that you can't see. So I can simply line it up wherever I want, the steel ruler up there and down there. All right, and simply cut, and you end up with a very nice strip. This method gives you really nice, crisp, clean edges, and that's what I'm looking for. When I looked into other methods like the paper shredder, the problem with the paper shredder is the one, which a lot of people have been using, the hand shredder. You get it on eBay for like $15, I think. That has wavy edges in the end. Your strips end up with this wave, which I don't like. Plus, other mechanical shredders, they shred, a specific width. So if that is the width that you're always going to quill with, go ahead, invest in it. But if you're cutting various lengths, then you will always come back to this method. All right, so the next thing that I'm going to show you is my Fiskars paper trimmer. This paper trimmer is favored by a lot of scrapbookers. It's very good for most of the things that I do. It cuts fabulous quilling strips of lighter weight, but as you move up to cardstock, there's a little bit of a problem that occurs. Now, it doesn't happen in all of the paper, but I've seen that usually reds and certain kinds of purple have this problem, in which maybe it's the dye of the color or the weave of for certain paper. It leaves what do you say, like it feels as if lint is coming out, so you've got the word escapes me, but I think you get the meaning. I'll show you. So all right, now another thing that I really like about this is the positioning. You already know how much you want, and you simply have to place this right next to the guideline, flip it, right, and the cutter is here, and slice it down. Okay. All right. Hopefully this shows. So you see, this is what ends up happening to this paper, which is not good. Your finished product looks really your finished product does not look good at all. It has a certain bend, but again, this happens only in certain colors. I know for sure all shades of red and certain shades of purple have this problem. Other than that, it's all good. So I still use my Fiskars, not that very often, but only when I have a lot of cutting to do, or if I'm gathering a lot of quilling strips just when I'm in between projects, I don't have anything to do, and I'd be cutting a lot of paper, I'd be using this. So the next thing that I'm going to show you, I came across it, it was complete serendipity. I was roaming around shopping with my mother 2 weeks ago, and she is a master tailor. Whatever she looks at, she can, completely stitch it. Um, and I came across this in the tailoring section. This is a template for cutting strips of cloth, and I was like, I can do this. I can make this exact same thing. Probably because I've made templates out of plastic before, for my baking, for other projects. And my mom was like, what the heck? It's just like gonna cost you $15. Just get it. And I got this and I tried it out, and it is just awesome. I mean, the amount of time it just requires you to cut through this is incredible. The only problem is that the divisions between the line, which is the width, is just half an inch. So if you're working with half an inch, good and fine. But if you're working with more than half an inch or less, then you'd probably want to make a template of your own. So this is what it is. It's a tailoring thing, shape cut slotted ruler, and you're supposed to use it with a rotary cutter, and it can cut multiple layers of fabric quickly. So I've not really done this on multiple papers at one time, but it also gives you angles here. So it says that you can cut strips into diamonds, into squares, into triangles, and you can cut fringes with these too. But again, the width will be half an inch, right? So let's test this out. So let's try this out. This is a 12 by 12 inch paper, and I'm going to line this up at the corners and then line it up against the paper. The interesting thing is that even this template gives me like 12 by 12, so that's pretty good. And let's begin. So you insert it inside and take it down. Insert it inside and take it down. And they have suggested to use a rotary cutter, which is a cutter which has a round blade, and I do have that somewhere, but it's somewhere. There we go. Moving fast. Oops. So my battery ran out in between, and I'm back with this. And again, because it's with a cutter, it has smooth, sharp edges. I'm going to be cutting this premium cardstock, which has been embossed. You can see the emboss feel, and I just want to try out how this fares under the knife. fast, and it's a two-toned paper, as you can see, but it's come out beautiful. If you ever do get paper stuck together, for some reason the blade hasn't gone through, just slice it out over its edge. That's it. It's awesome. Can't wait to use this one. Lastly, let's talk cutter business. The last thing that I cut, the orange sorbet paper, I should have probably cut the blade off because it was a little bit of blunt, and I love this cutter because it allows me to cut and use a lot of these blades. I've got replacements here. They're pretty cheap. I mean, for the amount of cutting that I do, please be very, very careful. And there it is. So each of this blade, actually you can break them down after each use that you feel it's blunt. Of course, do it with a plier or something that is more sturdy. And this is how it happens. Take the blade down below. All right. And insert it in here. And as it goes in, it locks itself. Right. I use this for cutting, and for scoring, I do use the back side. I use alpha cutters. Even this is an alpha cutter. It is replaceable, but I don't use this as often. The grip for this is much preferable. These also come out and they're replaceable as well. I like this because I've been using it for a very long time. It's completely stainless steel body, doesn't bend, it doesn't lose, I don't lose my grip over this, and I'm really, really comfortable. Also, it's not too thick, and it's preferable, especially when you're cutting things, that you use it as a pencil. Your position should be as if you're holding a pencil. It shouldn't be like this, although you sometimes end up doing it like this. But if you're ending up doing like this, that means that the plate needs more placement because you're putting in more pressure. So it should be like this. I recently did a paper cut, and just following these small tips that I learned myself from YouTubers, I gathered this. I've used a lot of blades, a lot of brands, but the one that I keep coming to is Alpha. There are a lot of other brands out there. It just depends what you're comfortable with. This is made in Japan. Its steel is pretty sturdy, and they're actually not that very expensive.